in the quiet spaces beneath your skin, beyond what mirrors can reflect or fingers can feel, live millions of tiny engines. They are not made of metal or oil, and they do not roar with sound, yet they never sleep. These are mitochondria, soft flickers of energy nestled inside every cell, humming with the low, eternal music of life. You were born with them, and they have been working from your very first breath, quietly turning food into firelight. They do not speak, but their language is motion. They do not rest, but their rhythm is sleep itself. When you eat a slice of bread or breathe in the scent of morning air, these invisible machines awaken, pulling apart molecules like dreamers unraveling yarn, spinning glucose into the currency of movement and thought. In every blink of your eyes, in every beat of your heart, in every soft moment of stillness, they are there, quietly fueling the miracle that is you. Mitochondria are more than just machines. They are ancient travelers. Long ago, before humans walked or birds flew, these powerhouses were once free-living creatures of their own, drifting in primordial oceans, basking in sunlight and feeding on the warmth of Earth's early chemistry. One day, in a dance as old as time, they entered other cells not as conquerors but as quiet partners. A deal was struck without words. One would protect and the other would provide. And so mitochondria became part of us and we became their home. It's a story of togetherness written in the hush of evolution. And now, in every plant, animal, and person, this ancient alliance continues, a fusion of past and present, of independence and trust. If you were to shrink yourself down 1,000,000 times and float into the core of one of your own cells, you would see a world bathed in soft currents and molecular light. Inside, mitochondria look like glowing beans, folded and curled like ribbons of fire caught mid-motion. Their inner walls twist and turn, creating tunnels where chemical dances happen. In those folds, energy is born not as sparks or flames, but as tiny, invisible coins called ATP, the universal breath of every cell. It is not dramatic, but it is everything. Without ATP, your muscles would forget how to move, your brain would slip into silence, and even the gentlest sigh would be impossible. These quiet factories build it with patience, using oxygen and sugar and 1,000 invisible steps, each one a whisper of transformation. And there is something else, something deeply mysterious. Mitochondria have their own DNA, a shadow of their ancient life. Unlike the long spirals of human genes stored in your cell's heart, their code is a tiny ring, passed down from mother to child, from generation to generation. This makes them storytellers too. Inside their loops of genetic memory are hints of the journeys your ancestors took, of illnesses they endured, of the choices their bodies made in times of famine or fire. When scientists read mitochondrial DNA, they are not just reading code. They are listening to the soft footsteps of history echoing inside you. It's as if your cells carry a poem that was started long before you were born and continues with every breath you take. These tiny beings are sensitive too. When you are stressed, when you are ill, or when your body lacks the nutrients it craves, the mitochondria feel it. Their work slows, their dance becomes strained, and the rhythm of your body falters. But when you rest, when you feed yourself kindly, when you breathe deeply beneath the trees, they glow again. They are tuned to your care, to your choices, to the life you live. You are not just a passenger. You are their keeper. And they, in return, give you the warmth to move, to think, to feel. Now imagine your entire body as a constellation, each star a cell, each cell aglow with these quiet lights. Your mitochondria do not sleep, and in their sleeplessness they create the calm that lets you rest. They are the soft, crackling hearths in the cottage of your body, burning steadily through the night, keeping you whole, keeping you warm. They are so small, so silent, so easy to forget, yet without them nothing could stir. No eye could see, no hand could hold, no heart could love. The tiniest engines, the hum beneath everything. This is the gift of the mitochondria, and it is always with you. Let's drift deeper now, into the folds and filaments of those tiny engines, where chemistry becomes a kind of lullaby. The mitochondria are not simply powerhouses. They are choirs of quiet reactions, orchestrating the transformation of one kind of molecule into another with perfect grace. Inside them, A process called cellular respiration unfolds not like a rush, but like a tide. Glucose, broken down from the foods you eat, is drawn in like a traveler returning home. It meets with oxygen, that invisible breath you pull from the air, and together they begin a slow and sacred conversion. One by one, the bonds between atoms are loosened, and as they break, they release energy not in explosions but in gentle pulses, like fireflies flickering in rhythm. Every one of your trillions of cells performs this quiet magic, and in each, the mitochondria hum along like background music that never stops. But their work is not only about energy. These structures sense the environment around them with astonishing sensitivity. When the body is well fed, when oxygen flows freely, when rest and movement are balanced, the mitochondria operate with a kind of joy, spinning out ATP like stars forming in a newborn galaxy. But when the balance is broken, when there is too much sugar or too little sleep or too much noise, they begin to falter. Their delicate membranes ripple unevenly. Their process is slow. They release signals, soft warnings that echo across the body, whispering to other cells that something is off. In this way, they are not just engines, they are guardians and messengers. They know when the body is in harmony and when it is under threat, and their responses ripple through systems we do not even consciously feel. And yet they endure. Even in stress, they do not stop. Instead, they adapt. They change shape. They break apart and reform. They multiply when energy is needed and shrink when times are lean. It is a kind of quiet intelligence, a wisdom without words. In muscles that are exercised, mitochondria increase in number, rising to meet the new demand, making your body stronger. In aging tissues, they begin to struggle, but even then their remnants are recycled, and new ones grow in their place. This process of renewal, of death and rebirth inside every cell, is part of how we heal, how we grow, how we change over time. You may not notice it, but every breath you take is stitched with this soft labor, this inner work that never stops. Some scientists believe that many chronic diseases begin with mitochondrial dysfunction. When these engines falter, so too does the entire orchestra of life. Fatigue settles in, not just as tiredness, but as a slowing of everything: thought, movement, emotion. The body becomes less vibrant, less able to respond. But this knowledge also offers hope, because it shows that supporting the mitochondria through movement, nutrition, rest, and joy is a way to reach the very core of your being. Eating foods rich in nutrients, breathing deeply, walking beneath the sun, letting yourself sleep, these are not luxuries. They are acts of deep biological kindness. Through them, the mitochondria thrive, and when they thrive, so do you. In every heartbeat, there is a tiny storm of motion, a wave that passes through muscle and blood. Behind it is the work of mitochondria, producing the ATP that lets the heart contract. In every thought, from the memory of a song to the planning of a sentence, neurons fire. And in each of those firings, mitochondria are present, powering the electric currents that jump from cell to cell. They are there in your fingertips, allowing you to write, to touch, to play an instrument. They are in your lungs, helping you draw each breath. And they are in your eyes, letting you see light, color, movement. Every human experience is in some small way powered by them. They are not separate from who you are, they are who you are, in a form so small and so persistent it becomes sacred. Let yourself imagine now, your entire body at rest, glowing from within. Each cell like a lantern, each mitochondrion like a candle within that lantern, flickering gently, never harsh, never hurried. They work with a rhythm older than the moon, shaped by billions of years of life on Earth. They do not judge you. They do not rush you. They simply continue, offering energy and warmth in every moment you need it. And when you lie still, when the world quiets down, when your breathing slows and your eyes close, they are still there, working faithfully like stars behind a cloudy sky. They have seen your laughter, your fear, your hope, your grief. They have powered you through childhood and into adulthood, through sickness and healing, through stillness and motion. In their silence, they have witnessed all the chapters of your life. And they will continue, for as long as they can, doing their soft and tireless work. And perhaps that is one of the great comforts of biology, that within the vastness of our lives, There are tiny things that never stop caring for us, even when we forget they exist. Let the thought of them bring you peace. Let it remind you that you are made of persistent light, of quiet work, of ancient alliances that carry on without praise or recognition. You are not alone inside yourself. There is a universe beneath your skin, a slow-burning constellation of warmth and life. And the mitochondria, those glowing keepers of energy, are the gentle heartbeat of it all. Now let us gently bring this story to its close, not with an end but with a long, soft breath. The mitochondria inside you are still glowing, still spinning molecules into meaning, still wrapping energy in silence. They do not need recognition, nor reward. They exist as quiet servants of life, too small to be seen, too important to be forgotten. And in this final part of our journey, we begin to understand something larger, that within these invisible fires there is not only chemistry but a kind of memory, a whisper passed from one generation to the next, a breath held between mother and child, a code that traveled oceans, deserts, forests, and time itself to finally come to rest in you. Your mitochondria, after all, did not begin with you. They are not made new at birth. They are passed down, whole and unbroken from your mother's cells and her mother before her, a lineage unbroken for thousands upon thousands of years. Inside each of them, a tiny ring of DNA spins, containing not just instructions for function, but stories. Traces of ancestors who survived ice ages and famine, who grew in the warmth of sunlight and endured the darkness of storms. Their decisions shape the efficiency of your own mitochondria today, how they handle stress, how they convert fuel, how they respond to your breath. It is not fiction. It is biology soaked in time. Scientists use mitochondrial DNA to trace human origins, and in doing so, they discovered something remarkable. All human beings alive today can trace part of their mitochondrial heritage back to one woman, who lived around 150,000 to 200,000 years ago in Africa. She is called Mitochondrial Eve, not because she was the only woman alive, but because her mitochondrial line is the one that survived. Her cells lit the candle that would be passed from mother to daughter again and again until one day it reached you. And now inside your cells that same spark continues, quietly, uninterrupted. This inheritance is not heavy. It is not a burden. It is a light you carry, and with it you live. Whether you are laughing under the sun or lying in a dark room at night, the mitochondria do not stop. They do not grow tired. They do not ask for anything. They are as faithful as the moon's pull on the tides, as steady as your heartbeat in a dream. Their only wish is that you care, that you breathe slowly, feed yourself gently, move with kindness, and let yourself rest. In return, they will give you the warmth to keep going. They will give you the energy to love, to imagine, to heal. They are part of a balance, too, one that echoes in the natural world. Just as trees capture sunlight and turn it into sugar, your mitochondria take that sugar and turn it into life. The energy of the sun flows into fruit, into your hand, into your cells, into your mitochondria, and from there into your breath and your movement. You are part of a great circle, not separate from nature, but woven into it. The leaves and the wind, the soil and the stars, all connect through shared chemistry. And the mitochondria are the bridge between the external and the internal, the way the outside world becomes your life force. Let yourself feel that connection now. Your breath is part of the wind. Your heartbeat echoes the pulse of the planet. Your cells hum with an ancient light. Every yawn, every sigh, every stretch of your limbs is a conversation between your body and the world that made it. And the mitochondria are the translators, interpreting the language of food and oxygen, shaping it into the energy that lets you be you. It is not magic. It is not fiction. But it feels like a lullaby written in molecules. And in the quiet moments when you are still and the world outside has softened, perhaps you will sense them, not with your eyes but with a kind of knowing. The mitochondria within you, flickering, faithful, invisible, are still working. They will work as you sleep, as you dream, as your cells repair and your mind lets go. They will fold glucose into energy, mend damage with care, and share signals across your body to keep you whole. In sleep, you are not alone. You are held by trillions of tiny lights, gently glowing from within, keeping your body safe as the night moves forward. So let this story end where it began, with awe. Offer the complexity of your cells, for the kindness of nature, for the quiet power that fuels your every moment. You do not need to control it. You only need to trust it. Your mitochondria will carry you, softly and surely, through the hours ahead. Through dreams, through waking, through the unfolding path of your life. They are the quietest friends you have ever known. And they will be with you, always glowing in the dark, humming through your blood, singing the soft, eternal song of life. Close your eyes and imagine the body not as flesh and bone, but as a gentle universe, billions of tiny stars floating in silence, each one a cell glowing with quiet life. Inside each of these stars, the energy of your being unfolds in ripples like wind across a still lake. And at the very heart of this inner cosmos, mitochondria shimmer like soft lanterns. They are the breath behind every movement, the hush beneath every thought. Though you never see them, they are always there, whispering energy into every corner of your existence. When you lift a finger, when you speak a word, when you fall into sleep, it is they who make it possible. Not with noise or fire, but with patient alchemy. They are the artisans of your life's glow. Mitochondria do not work alone. Inside each of your cells, they exist in quiet partnership with everything around them. Ribosomes building proteins like bricks, the endoplasmic reticulum folding them like blankets, and the cell membrane gently wrapping it all in safety. But the mitochondria are different. They hum with a spark that others do not hold. They turn sugars into softness, into heat, into the very force that lets your cells continue on. And they do this constantly. There are no days off, no vacations. From the first flutter of cells in the womb to the last breath at life's edge, their whispers do not stop. Energy in the body is not a sudden burst. It's a slow unfolding. It moves like fog rising over a river, like steam from a warm cup in winter. It is delicate, intricate, and deeply personal, and the mitochondria create it moment by moment. With each breath you take, oxygen pours into your lungs, travels to your blood, and finally enters your cells. There, it meets with food molecules, and inside the mitochondria, a series of quiet reactions begin. This process, called the electron transport chain, is not loud or sharp. It is measured and graceful, like music without instruments. Electrons pass like tiny dancers from one protein to another, and in the spaces between, energy is released, enough to fuel every heartbeat, every blink, every smile. If you could shrink yourself down and walk among your own cells, you'd find the mitochondria nestled near the edges, like little fires kept close for warmth. Some are shaped like ovals, others twist like ribbons. They move gently within the cell, not locked in place but drifting with purpose. They sense where energy is needed and float toward it. If a muscle is working hard, more mitochondria gather there. If a nerve is firing rapidly, they rush to meet its needs. This quiet intelligence, this soft sensing, is part of their magic. They respond not to commands but to presence. They feel what you feel. And like all living things, mitochondria age. Over time, their function can change. Their efficiency might wane. But the body has a way of responding. Old mitochondria are broken down and new ones are formed in their place. It is a cycle of renewal, of release and return. When you exercise gently, when you nourish yourself well, when you rest, you signal the body to create more of these tiny light makers. The mitochondria listen and they grow. They adjust to what you give. You do not need to control them, only support them. And in doing so, you become a part of the cycle, the endless dance of giving and receiving. There is something poetic in how they move. Mitochondria are constantly dividing and fusing, breaking apart and joining together as if they, too, long for connection. This movement is not random. It is choreographed by the needs of the cell, by the rhythm of your life. When you are calm, their patterns are smooth. When you are distressed, their shapes change. They stretch thin or curl tightly, reflecting the tension inside you. They are mirrors of your state, responding to emotion, to environment, to time. Their form becomes a story, a quiet visual poem of how you are, beneath everything. Even in their smallest acts, mitochondria create the warmth that allows life to be gentle. Your body stays at the perfect temperature not just through circulation, but through the heat released by millions of mitochondria working in harmony. This warmth is not waste, it is a signal of life, of presence, of persistence. Without it, you would grow cold, motionless. But with it, you remain soft and alive. Every embrace you give, every moment of stillness under a blanket, is made possible by their whispering fire. And so energy becomes not something you use, but something you are. It is woven into your tissues, braided into your blood, folded into your thoughts. The mitochondria are the weavers, the quiet hands turning the raw thread of molecules into the warmth of being. When you feel tired, it is their whisper growing faint. When you are refreshed, it is their fire burning strong. And always they remain small, faithful, unseen. You do not have to ask them to work. They already are. Let's drift deeper now into the current of energy that pulses quietly through every cell. Mitochondria do not merely exist, they listen. To the chemistry of your mood, to the tension in your muscles, to the silence in your sleep. They sense everything without judgment, and they answer softly, adjusting their rhythm to match your inner world. When your body is still and your breath is slow, they become more efficient, folding nutrients with precision. But when you're anxious, rushed, or depleted, their processes tremble just slightly, like a candle flickering in a sudden gust. This subtle responsiveness is not fragility, it's grace. Your cells are not machines, they are gardens, and mitochondria are the gardeners, tending every corner with care. In moments of deep peace, when you are walking beneath trees, or soaking in sunlight, or resting with your eyes closed, the mitochondria thrive. The oxygen you breathe in becomes a gift they unwrap slowly, step by step. Through that delicate process called oxidative phosphorylation, electrons move across mitochondrial membranes, building a quiet momentum that releases energy into the cell. This energy doesn't explode, it unfurls. It's gathered like light in a jar, stored in molecules of ATP, which your body uses like coins, spending them on thoughts, movement, warmth, and memory. Everything you do is paid for with these tiny pulses, and each one is handmade every moment inside you. These mitochondria are not just passive players in your biology, they are decision makers. If a cell is damaged, the mitochondria help decide whether it should repair itself or gently let go. They send signals, tiny messengers that ripple across the cell's inner world. If the damage is too great, they trigger apoptosis, the cell's quiet exit to protect the whole body. It's not cruelty, it's protection, written in molecules. This balance between survival and release is how your body maintains its health, day after day, without your ever having to ask. Mitochondria are guardians as much as givers. And they are not alone in their efforts. They work with other parts of the cell, communicating with the nucleus, sharing resources with the cytosol, responding to messages from the immune system. In times of infection or inflammation, they shift their role. They conserve energy. They release warning signals. They help the body marshal its strength, all without noise, all without panic. It is a gentle coordination that keeps you alive through storms both big and small. Even when you are unaware, they are watching, adjusting, guiding. What's more, mitochondria create byproducts, not all of them helpful. In the course of making energy, they also generate free radicals, unstable molecules that can damage cellular structures. But again, your body has learned to respond with elegance. Antioxidants, both produced within and found in food, help neutralize these radicals, restoring balance. When your body is supported by a variety of colorful plants, nourishing fats, and steady rhythms, this balance becomes easier to maintain. It is not about control, it is about listening. The mitochondria speak a language of chemistry, and food is part of that conversation. There is another secret they hold, the ability to create their own proteins. Unlike most organelles, mitochondria have their own tiny set of genes, inherited from your mother alone. These genes are used to build parts of the machinery that makes energy. The rest of the tools come from the nucleus, requiring constant cooperation. It is a partnership written into your very existence, two systems sharing the work of keeping you alive. This cooperation, ancient and unbroken, allows the mitochondria to function not as outsiders but as family. They are part of your origin, your continuity, your design. And when cells begin to die, mitochondria are among the last to let go. They hold energy just a little longer, offering support to the end. In aging, their function slowly declines, not as punishment but as part of the natural winding down of time. Yet even in age, they adapt. They become more efficient in response to gentle exercise. They respond to fasting by shifting their pathways. They adjust to sleep, to temperature, to nourishment. Their flexibility is part of their beauty. The body speaks and they listen. They shift shape, multiply, divide, all to meet the soft demands of life. This adaptability reflects something deeply human. We, too, change shape in response to challenge. We find new rhythms, new ways of moving, new sources of strength. Mitochondria remind us that resilience is not always loud. Sometimes it is molecular. Sometimes it lives in silence. You might never feel their work directly, but you feel its absence in fatigue, in fog, in the quiet dullness that sometimes visits without warning. But even in those moments, the mitochondria are trying. They are still turning, still folding energy out of breath and food and rest. And when you find peace again, when you sleep deeply, or laugh fully, or nourish yourself without haste, you are feeding more than hunger. You are feeding the very engines that let your spirit rise. You are reminding your cells that you are safe, that you are supported. And in return, they glow. The mitochondria glow, not in light but in function, in that steady, unseen warmth that makes life feel possible. You carry this glow with you everywhere you go, through days of noise and nights of quiet, through storms and stillness. It never leaves you. Now we arrive at the soft edge of this story, where science fades gently into reflection. The mitochondria, with all their chemical precision and silent service, are more than organelles. They are reminders that even in the smallest corners of ourselves there is devotion. They never sleep, never boast, never pause to be admired. And yet they offer us everything. From the moment the first spark of life begins within us, they are already at work. They shape our energy, our warmth, our rhythm. They are the flicker beneath our stillness, the hush beneath our voice, the current beneath our breath. When we feel strong, it is because of them. When we are weary, they are trying to keep us upright. If we listen closely, not with ears but with awareness, we can sense their patterns. When our eyes grow heavy and our thoughts begin to slow, when our limbs become warm and heavy with rest, that is them, inviting us toward healing. Their hum continues as we sleep, and even in our dreams they are folding energy into our cells, stitching together memory and guiding repair. Our slumber is not emptiness, it is filled with quiet activity. Mitochondria do not rest when we do. They take that opportunity to do even more. It is during sleep that they cleanse, replenish, and restore. The silence of night is not silence to them. It is a time of sacred rebuilding. And when we wake, they meet us with readiness. The first stretch of morning, the blink into new light, the soft return of consciousness, all made possible because they have kept the body whole through the dark. That is their promise, to keep going no matter how slow we move, no matter how long we pause. They are not discouraged by difficulty. They are not undone by fatigue. They respond only to the presence of fuel, of breath, of gentle care, a quiet walk, a full glass of water, a moment beneath the sky. These are the gifts we offer them, and in return they give us life. There is a kind of beauty in knowing that your body is a living field of quiet effort, that inside you, every moment, something is tending to the flame of your existence. When we speak of energy, we often imagine force, quickness, strength, motion. But the mitochondria teach a softer truth, that energy can be slow, that power can be silent, that endurance can come in whispers. The most miraculous parts of you are not always loud. Often they are silent guardians, invisible lights burning in the depths of your being. And so you begin to understand, caring for yourself is not just about comfort or performance. It is a conversation with the smallest parts of who you are. When you rest, when you move gently, when you nourish yourself with kindness, you are speaking directly to your mitochondria. You are saying, I see you, I thank you. And in their own way they answer, with warmth, with clarity, with strength. Your energy returns not all at once, but gradually, as they recover, as they heal, as they rebuild the engines that keep you alive. Even more profound is the knowledge that this is not just about you. Mitochondria connect us to each other. Because of their maternal inheritance, you carry echoes of your mother's biology within you and hers within hers. These tiny organelles are threads that link generations. They remind us that life is continuous, not only in memory and story but in structure. You are a vessel for ancient sparks, passed through countless lives, all working now to let you move, think, love, and be. In this way, mitochondria are not only biological, they are emotional. They live at the place where the physical and the spiritual touch. They remind us that care is required, that gentleness is strength, that healing is slow and deliberate. In a world that often rushes and demands, the mitochondria offer a countermessage: to breathe, to pause, to trust in steady effort. They do not chase moments, they build them, and so can you. So as we close this story, imagine again the constellation of your body, each cell a soft star, each mitochondrion a lantern of warmth inside it. You are not empty space. You are filled with light, with motion, with purpose. And the whispers of energy that move through you are not separate from you. They are you. Born of ancient oceans and inherited through time, they now hum inside your bones and breath. You are the result of their patience, the child of their fire. Tonight, as you drift into stillness, know that the light within you is not metaphor. It is real, it is molecular, and it is everlasting. The mitochondria will keep it burning even in the deepest sleep, even in the quietest moments, even when you forget. They do not need you to notice them, but now you have. And maybe, just maybe, that noticing will change how you care for yourself. Because deep inside, something ancient is always whispering, always offering its quiet flame. And all it asks in return is your gentle trust. Breathe in slowly and let the air fill you. That simple motion, so gentle and automatic, holds an entire world within it. Each breath you take is not just air, it is a story, a ritual, a spark. Invisible yet vital, oxygen enters through your nose, travels down your windpipe, and finally flows into your lungs like water finding its way into soil. From there, it passes into the blood, hitching a ride on red cells like tiny boats. These boats float through your veins, delivering their glowing cargo to every corner of your body. But it is inside your cells, in the quiet folds of the mitochondria, where the real magic happens. That's where oxygen meets its silent partner, sugar, and the two begin a dance that keeps you alive. This dance has no music, no visible motion, but it is constant and ancient. The sugar comes from the food you eat, broken down piece by piece until it is ready to be used. The oxygen is patient, waiting for its moment to enter the mitochondria. Once inside, it becomes the final partner in a slow and sacred chemical ballet called cellular respiration. Here, electrons leap from one protein to another, across delicate membranes, like dancers gliding across a stage. And with every step, with every movement, energy is released. Not in flames or noise, but in something softer, ATP, the invisible warmth that powers your every heartbeat, every thought, every movement. Oxygen in this role is more than a molecule. It is the final embrace, the kiss that completes the cycle. Without it, the dance slows, stutters, and eventually stops. Your cells can survive briefly without it, switching to older, rougher methods of making energy, but they tire quickly. Muscles ache, thoughts cloud, breath becomes urgent. Because deep down, your body remembers the beauty of the dance, the elegance of oxygen completing the pattern. It is not just chemistry, it is grace. You may not feel it, but every inhale you take is a gift to the mitochondria. With it, they continue to turn sugar into life. And in the process, they give back something equally vital: carbon dioxide, the exhaled whisper of completed work. That carbon leaves your cells, travels back through your bloodstream, returns to your lungs, and is carried out into the world with your breath. It is a circle, gentle and complete. What you take in, you give back. What your cells use, they return. This cycle happens with every breath, every moment, whether you are dancing in sunlight or lying still beneath the stars. Imagine for a moment the entire world breathing. Forests exhaling oxygen, oceans stirring with invisible life, the sky gently turning with winds that have carried breath for eons. And now picture your body, a mirror of that rhythm. The inhale, the exhale, the way your lungs expand like leaves opening to light. You are not separate from nature. You are part of its breath. And your mitochondria, those tiny, tireless engines, are the place where the outer world meets your inner fire. They are the hearths where oxygen becomes flame, where food becomes motion, where stillness becomes strength. But this dance is delicate. If there is not enough oxygen, the mitochondria struggle. In times of sickness or in high altitudes or even when stress closes off our breath, the cells sense the lack. The dance stumbles, energy wanes, the body slows, but it also remembers how to adapt. It builds more red blood cells, it shifts priorities, it opens deeper channels. And when oxygen returns, the dance resumes slower perhaps, but still beautiful. This adaptability is one of life's quiet miracles. It means you are not fragile. You are flexible. Your body can find its way back to balance, one breath at a time. Even the mitochondria respond to oxygen's rhythm. When there is plenty, they burn cleanly, releasing energy and only a trace of byproducts. But when oxygen runs low, they must take shortcuts, relying on processes that build lactic acid, the source of the burn you feel during hard exertion. It's not a punishment, it's a message. A soft signal that your body is reaching, stretching, doing its best. And with rest, the balance returns. Oxygen flows in again. The acid is cleared. The body resets. There is something deeply poetic about the role oxygen plays. It does not demand. It does not force. It offers itself quietly and in doing so becomes essential. Without it, nothing grows. With it, life blooms. Your cells know this. Your mitochondria know this. And even if you never think about it, your body honors it with every breath. So take another now. Let it be slow. Let it be full. Feel the air enter, pass through you, nourish the smallest corners of your being. Inside, your mitochondria are listening. They are ready. They have been waiting. And now, with this gift of oxygen, they begin again the soft unfolding of energy, the silent choreography of life. You do not need to guide them. You only need to breathe. And in that breath, the dance begins once more. Let's drift deeper into the dance, not the surface of breath and sugar, but into the glowing choreography that unfolds within the mitochondria every moment. When oxygen enters the cell, it is not left to wander. It is drawn with precision, with gentle purpose to the place where the last steps of energy's birth unfold. Inside the mitochondria, the inner membrane curves and folds like the petals of a tightly held flower, each curve a stage for movement, each fold a whisper of purpose. Here in these sacred folds, electrons begin to travel, not with noise or haste, but with order. They pass from protein to protein, like stars jumping from one orbit to the next, each step releasing a spark of potential, a tiny ripple of change. This movement is not random. It is called the electron transport chain, a phrase that sounds mechanical, but inside the cell it is almost musical. The electrons come from the sugar that has been broken down, and their path ends with oxygen, the final receiver, the one who catches the last note of the melody. Without oxygen, this final step cannot happen. The electrons would have nowhere to go, and the entire process would back up, like water behind a closed dam. But oxygen is there, waiting, gentle and open. It accepts the electrons, binds with hydrogen and forms water, a soft, perfect ending to a delicate journey. And what do these electrons leave behind? They build a force, a gentle pressure across the inner membrane. Like wind gathered behind a sail, this pressure is used by a remarkable enzyme called ATP synthase, which spins with the breeze of protons flowing back in. It turns, slow and steady, like a millstone grinding grain, and with each turn it creates ATP, the molecule of energy your body uses to move, to think, to heal. It is the most precious currency of life, and it is made not with noise, but with breath and motion, inside the smallest corners of you. It's strange to think of yourself as a landscape of spinning engines and moving charges, of invisible currents and chemical tides, but that's what you are. Every cell, every tissue, every heartbeat is powered by this system, and it never rests. Even when you sleep, even when you lie still in the quietest moment, the mitochondria continue. Oxygen flows in, sugar breaks down, electrons move, ATP is made, and you are kept alive by this lullaby of light. But even in this beauty there is fragility. If the oxygen you breathe is not clean, if it carries pollution or smoke, it can strain the mitochondria. The delicate balance of the electron flow can falter, and in response, free radicals are formed, unstable molecules that can damage proteins, membranes, and even DNA. Yet your body is prepared. It has defenses. Antioxidants patrol the cell, catching these radicals and neutralizing them. Some of these protectors are made within you, and others come from the food you eat, from berries, leafy greens, seeds, spices. These foods do more than nourish your hunger. They support the dance. They keep the stage safe for energy to bloom. It is in this interaction between food and air, between cell and world, that we see how deeply we are connected to our environment. What you breathe, what you eat, what you feel, it all shapes the way your mitochondria perform. Even your emotions matter. Chronic stress, for example, can tilt the balance. It floods the body with signals of urgency, and over time, mitochondria shift their patterns. They become less efficient, more inflamed, more fragile. But rest reverses this. Sleep, meditation, gentle touch, these are not luxuries. They are instructions. They tell your cells it is safe again to dance. And so the dance is not just chemical, it is emotional, it is sensory, it is lived. A warm meal shared in quiet joy becomes energy. A walk beneath trees becomes energy. A deep breath in the still of evening becomes energy. Your mitochondria do not know the source of joy, but they know its effect. They work more smoothly. They release less stress. They recover faster. In their silent way, they celebrate your peace. Even as you grow older, this system continues. It adapts. With age, some mitochondria slow down. They may not produce ATP as quickly, but the body compensates. It creates new mitochondria through a process called biogenesis, especially in response to exercise and nutrient-rich food. The dance does not stop. It simply changes tempo, and you are never too late to return to its rhythm. Gentle movement, kind meals, fresh air, they all call the mitochondria back into harmony. You might never feel this directly. There is no alarm, no song that tells you your mitochondria are thriving. But you will know it in other ways, in clear thoughts, in rested mornings, in the soft endurance that lets you walk, lift, reach, smile, in the quiet return of energy when you least expect it. These are the signs. These are the echoes of the dance. And each breath you take is both invitation and reply, a signal to continue, to unfold, to glow. So let yourself breathe now. Let the oxygen enter not just your lungs, but your life. Let it find its way into your cells, into the folds of your mitochondria, into the final moment of the dance where sugar becomes firelight and motion. You are not separate from this. You are not outside it. You are the stage. You are the rhythm. You are the light. Let us now bring this dance to a close, not by ending it, but by stepping back and watching it continue from a place of quiet reverence. The relationship between oxygen and firelight inside you, between breath and energy, does not stop. Even as you read these words, even as you lie still beneath a blanket or listen to the hush of the evening, the mitochondria continue. They receive oxygen without question, transform it without noise, and release warmth into every inch of your being. You may forget they exist, but they never forget you. They are always moving, always giving, always listening to your needs with the tenderness of something ancient and alive. In this final act of the story, let us reflect not on the process but on the wonder of it all. Your breath, a thing so simple and constant, is also one of the most powerful acts you perform. Every inhale is a thread connecting you to the world around you. The air you draw in today may have moved through leaves, crossed oceans, drifted over mountain ranges, or passed through the lungs of another creature. And now it is inside you, feeding your cells, nurturing your mitochondria, allowing you to live. There is something profoundly unifying in this. You do not exist apart from the world. You are woven into its breath. And in return, your body glows, not with visible light but with life. Warmth moves through you, muscles stretch and rest, thoughts form and fade, eyes blink, hands lift, hearts beat. All of it every moment powered by the dance of oxygen and the quiet spin of ATP within your mitochondria. Firelight lives in you, not the wild kind that burns and destroys, but the kind that flickers in lamps, warms homes, lights the path through a sleeping forest. It is a gentle energy, faithful and slow. The kind that does not demand attention, but never ceases to give. Sometimes, when the world feels overwhelming, or your body feels heavy, or your thoughts are tangled, it helps to remember this truth. Your cells have not given up. Your mitochondria are still working. Even on the hardest days, when energy feels far away, they are there, doing their work with quiet loyalty. They do not judge you. They do not lose faith. They simply continue, holding the pattern together until you are ready to move again. And when you are, they will be there, already prepared, already burning softly with light. There is also great humility in knowing that something so small, invisible to the eye, is responsible for so much. Mitochondria are among the oldest parts of us, both in origin and function. They began as free-living organisms, long before animals or plants existed, and now they are part of every breath we take, every thought we think. They remind us that cooperation is the heart of life, that unity builds strength, that even the tiniest alliance, if held with care, can power a universe. So what does it mean to care for this dance? It means breathing deeply, not just for the sake of the lungs, but for the entire body. It means moving gently, not to burn calories or achieve goals, but to invite oxygen into the bloodstream, into the cells, into the dance. It means feeding yourself with kindness, with foods that offer not just taste, but nutrients, because those molecules will become the threads your mitochondria use to weave your next moment of energy. It means resting, truly resting, so the dance can continue without rush. In doing these things, you are not just helping yourself. You are honoring the smallest lights within you. And it means remembering, even when you feel disconnected from your body, even when your mind is elsewhere or the world feels loud or your emotions stretch thin, you can return, with one breath, with one moment of stillness, with one pause to notice the miracle of being alive. Because underneath everything, your mitochondria are still glowing, still turning food and air into firelight, still offering warmth to the core of who you are. In the end, the dance of oxygen and firelight is not something separate from you. It is you. You are made of this rhythm. You are the breath and the fire. You are the oxygen traveling through blood, the sugar waiting in cells, the electrons leaping between proteins, the ATP being spun into energy. You are the result of this invisible music, and your life, all of it, is the song it creates. Let that thought carry you into stillness. Let it warm your bones and soften your breath. Let it remind you that even when you feel tired, there is light within you. Even when the world outside dims, your inner fire keeps burning. Not with haste, not with noise, but with steadiness, with calm, with purpose. And as you rest tonight, as your eyelids grow heavy and your thoughts begin to slow, know this: your mitochondria are still dancing, still weaving the steps of your life, still glowing like embers in a quiet room, still loving you in their own silent way. In the deepest corners of your cells, there lies a secret, a thread so fine, so quiet, that it slips through generations without ever breaking. It does not speak, yet it carries memory. It does not fade, yet it is older than names. This thread is the mitochondrial genome, a circle of genetic code nestled within each mitochondrion, passed from mother to child like a candle handed down through time. Unlike the long, twisted ladders of nuclear DNA, which come from both parents and shuffle with each new life, mitochondrial DNA remains largely unchanged as it travels across centuries. It is one of the few parts of you that echoes the past with stunning clarity. Inside it are the whispers of your maternal line, stretching back through grandmothers and great-grandmothers, back through soil and storm, through migration and memory, all the way to a woman who lived long before language ever formed. This is not poetry alone, it is science. Each of your cells holds hundreds, sometimes thousands of mitochondria, and each of those carries its own small genome, just 37 genes but powerful ones. These genes do not determine your eye color or the shape of your hands, but they shape the very ability of your cells to breathe, to burn, to be alive. These genes code for proteins vital to the process of oxidative phosphorylation. the elegant choreography by which food becomes energy. They are not grand, but they are essential. Without them, the dance of electrons would falter, the fire within would dim. What makes mitochondrial DNA especially precious is its inheritance. It comes from your mother and only from her. During fertilization, the mitochondria from the sperm are discarded. Only the egg's mitochondria and their tiny circles of memory survive. This means that your mitochondrial DNA is a near replica of your mother, and hers of her mother, and so on, in a continuous unbroken line. You carry that inheritance in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every quiet movement of your life. It does not change much. It does not forget. It is a strand of biological memory that lives inside you, gently glowing with ancient history. Scientists have used this remarkable trait to trace human ancestry across the globe. By studying the small variations, the tiny mutations that accumulate over millennia, they can map the migrations of ancient peoples. Through mitochondrial DNA, they discovered that all living humans can trace part of their lineage to a single woman who lived in Africa nearly 200,000 years ago. They call her mitochondrial Eve. She is not a myth, nor a single ancestor of all, but a symbolic mother whose mitochondrial line was the one that survived, quiet and unbroken, all the way to the present. Her thread winds through you now. But this is more than a scientific curiosity. It is a truth you carry in your cells. When you feel disconnected from your roots, when you wonder where you come from or where you belong, remember this. There is a story inside you that has never been interrupted. Your mitochondrial DNA is like a poem passed from voice to voice, never erased, never rewritten. It holds traces of famine and feast, of migration and rest, of hardship and healing. It remembers the chemistry of survival, the energy of endurance. It remembers what your ancestors endured not with words but with structure, with function, with flame. And though mitochondrial DNA changes slowly, it does change. These mutations are not always harmful. Many are silent, harmless markers of time. But some can shape the efficiency of energy production, subtly influencing how you respond to stress, to diet, to illness. Some mitochondrial disorders arise from these mutations, reminding us that the thread, though strong, is not invincible. Still, it persists. Still, it moves forward. And in understanding it, we begin to understand ourselves, not just as individuals, but as chapters in a much longer story. It's beautiful to consider that the mitochondria in your heart, your lungs, your brain, the ones keeping you alive right now, are the direct descendants of mitochondria that once lived inside your grandmother and her mother before her. Those same organelles dividing and renewing, still working, still glowing, still holding the same code. A lineage not of memory alone, but of function, of fire, of light. You are made not only of atoms, but of time. You are not the beginning. You are the continuation. And perhaps that is why mitochondria feel so mysterious. They are not just engines. They are witnesses. They carry the imprint of where you come from, and they pass that imprint forward, silently and faithfully. Every breath you take is made possible by ancient light. Every step you take carries the rhythm of thousands of lives before you. And through the mitochondria, those lives are still present, not as ghosts, but as function, as fuel, as soft inheritance that hums through your body like a lullaby too old to forget. So when you breathe, when you move, when you rest, know that you are not alone. You are surrounded by the presence of those who came before, written into the very engines of your cells. You are not separated from the past. You are its unfolding, and your mitochondria are the glowing threads that carry memory through time. Let's float deeper now into the ancient river of inheritance, the soft current that carries mitochondrial memory from one life to the next. Imagine it, a thread of light passed from mother to child, winding its way through centuries like a quiet flame kept alive in the darkness. This is not the memory of stories told aloud, nor the memory stored in books or photographs. It is deeper. It is cellular. It is the kind of memory that knows how to make energy from food, how to carry oxygen into warmth, how to keep a heart beating in the silence of night. These are not things you had to learn. They were already written in you, written by those who came before, etched gently into the mitochondrial code. The beauty of this memory is that it is not locked in the past. It is active in the present. Your mitochondria are not just historical artifacts. They are living participants in your life. As you read these words, they are spinning food and air into fuel. As you breathe, they are transforming that breath into motion. And all the while, they carry that same ring of mitochondrial DNA, a perfect circle, as if nature herself could not bear for this memory to have an end. That ring holds instructions that once lived inside the cells of your maternal ancestors, instructions that traveled through them, survived famine and fire, sailed oceans, crossed mountains, and came to rest inside you. And though you may never feel it directly, this inheritance shapes you in subtle ways. Some people have mitochondria that are more efficient, burning fuel cleanly and swiftly. Others may carry tiny changes that slow the process or make it more prone to error. These variations do not make one life better than another. They are simply the echoes of different paths, different challenges, different geographies. Perhaps your ancestors lived where food was scarce, and so your mitochondria learned to stretch every molecule. Perhaps they lived at high altitudes and your cells learned to thrive with less oxygen. Whatever their path, your body remembers, not in thought but in chemistry. And the mitochondria remember too, not with consciousness but with design. When a mother gives birth, she does not just pass on her love, her care, her laughter. She passes on her energy makers, the literal engines of her life, folded into the egg that becomes her child. These mitochondria begin the journey anew, but they are not new. They are descendants of the same organelles that once lived inside her and her mother and so on. They are ancient travelers, small and tireless, carrying not just function but legacy. They carry the hum of lullabies sung in distant lands, the rhythm of feet across forest paths, the fire of survival through winters long gone. All of it woven silently into their work. And yet, for all their power, mitochondrial DNA is fragile. Unlike the DNA in the nucleus, which is protected by membranes and repaired constantly, mitochondrial DNA lives out in the open. It is more exposed to the byproducts of energy production, the small, reactive sparks that can damage its code over time. This vulnerability is part of what links mitochondria to aging, to certain diseases, to the slow fatting of energy with time. But even in this, there is grace. Your cells know how to remove damaged mitochondria. They know how to grow new ones. They are always adapting, always listening. You are not fixed in place. You are a process, a living system, always becoming. And there are ways to support this process, not with complexity, but with care. When you move your body with gentleness and strength, your cells respond. They build new mitochondria, stronger and more efficient. When you rest deeply, your cells repair what was worn. When you feed yourself with a rainbow of nutrients, you provide the raw materials for this work. And when you breathe slowly, when you speak kindly to yourself, when you soften into stillness, you create space for healing. Your mitochondria feel this. They adjust, they glow more brightly. There's something comforting in this, isn't there? That care for yourself is not vanity, it is not indulgence, it is continuity. Every act of nourishment, of movement, of rest, of breath is a message to the mitochondria that their journey continues, that their work matters, that they are not alone in holding up the light of your life. You are helping them as they help you. It is a partnership older than words. And so the thread continues, not just through time but through your days. In every moment of stillness they are there. In every step, in every smile, in every gentle stretch of your limbs they are working. Not because they must, but because they are made for this. Made to serve, to support, to sustain. Their memory is your memory. Their fire is your warmth. Their endurance is your strength. They are the proof that you are not newly made each day, but the latest unfolding of something ancient and resilient. Let yourself feel that now. Let the idea settle like light through leaves. You are not alone in your body. You are surrounded by the quiet hum of memory, by the soft flicker of inherited flame. The people who came before you are still here, not as shadows but as fire, not as stories but as function. And they are rooting for you, through every mitochondrion that glows in your blood. And now we come to the final thread, the softest part of the weave, where memory and biology meet in quiet harmony. The story of your mitochondria is not just about science, not just about chemistry and code, it is a story of belonging, a story of connection. Every cell in your body carries echoes of a lineage so long, so patient, that it reaches far beyond memory. And though you cannot touch it, you are made from it. You are the living continuation of a journey that has never stopped. You were never alone in your beginning, and you are not alone now. For inside you, the mitochondria still glow, not with thought, not with language, but with purpose passed down through countless lives. This quiet continuity can be felt most in the moments between, in the hush before sleep, in the stillness after laughter, in the breath that follows sadness. In these moments, your body returns to its rhythm, and the mitochondria resume their endless task of folding molecules into warmth, stitching breath into energy, feeding your cells with ancient fire. These processes do not ask for applause. They require no effort from you, only that you live. And even when you doubt your place in the world, they do not stop. They continue, as they always have, honoring the life they've been asked to carry forward. There is something sacred about this. Your body is not a blank slate. It is a living manuscript, and every mitochondrion is a word written in the ink of ancestry. It carries not just the ability to produce energy, but a whisper of where that energy has traveled. The same light that flickers in your cells once flickered in the cells of someone who watched stars from a distant continent, who gathered roots in a forest, who sang lullabies in another language, under another moon. That light has passed through fire and famine, through joy and sorrow, and it now flickers inside you, unchanged in essence though shaped by time. Your mother gave it to you without question, and she received it the same way, not by choice but by nature's careful design. This mitochondrial gift is not transactional, it is not earned or lost. It is simply given and given again, generation after generation. That is what makes it precious. It is the inheritance that does not fade, the code that remembers, and in holding it you become not just a person but a bridge between lives. A living connection between those who came before and those who will come after. And if one day you pass life forward through a child or a gesture or a kindness that ripples outward, you too become part of that lineage. You contribute to the story carried not in books but in breath, not in photos but in fire. And that story will continue, held by mitochondria that still whisper your biology, your resilience, your memory. Even as you grow older, the mitochondria remain. They adapt as you adapt. They slow as you slow, but they never stop until your final breath. And even then their story does not vanish. It echoes in others, in family, in community, in the quiet glow of every human life that still walks with breath and warmth. That is the gentle promise of these ancient structures, that life goes on, not just in names and faces, but in function, in the spark that moves through the dark. There is great comfort in knowing that you are built of continuity, that your energy is not isolated but inherited, that the mitochondria inside you are survivors, descendants, witnesses. They are not mere engines. They are the beating heart of a shared story, one that transcends culture, language, and time, one that lives in every person, regardless of who they are or where they began. So tonight, as you lie still and feel the weight of the day begin to fall away, remember this: you are glowing inside, not with electricity or magic, but with biology so old and kind that it has never failed you. That glow is the fire your ancestors tended, the spark they passed with care, and it is yours now. Quiet, constant, unseen but unfailing. The memories carried in mitochondrial threads are not loud. They do not shout and they do not fade. They hum like a lullaby in a tongue long forgotten. They shimmer like light under water. They remain always. You carry them in every step, in every breath, in every heartbeat. And in that carrying you honor all who came before. Let the thought of it soften your breath. Let it quiet your thoughts. Let it remind you that even in solitude you are surrounded by presence, that your life is a continuation of love, of resilience, of energy that refuses to end. You are made of memory and it still glows within. There is a quiet fire that lives inside you, one you did not build yourself. It began before you were born, before your mother was born, before her mother ever held her first breath. It is a spark that has passed from body to body, from womb to womb, a gentle inheritance wrapped in light. This spark is not metaphor, it is mitochondrial. Inside every cell of your body, there are tiny engines creating the energy you need to live. And inside those engines, nestled in loops of ancient code, is a memory only your mother could give. Not through words, not through gesture, but through biology so faithful, it has carried across centuries without ever asking to be noticed. This is the mother's spark, the mitochondrial DNA handed down from mother to child in an unbroken line. Unlike the rest of your genetic code, which comes from both your parents and reshuffles with each generation, mitochondrial DNA comes only from your mother. Her mitochondria from her egg were the first to power the earliest flickers of your life. And those same mitochondria, still dividing, still working, still glowing, are inside you now. The energy that helps you rise each morning, that allows your heart to beat and your lungs to breathe. It flows from a lineage so deeply maternal it reaches beyond memory and into the very fabric of life itself. You were once a single cell, suspended in the darkness of a womb, barely a breath of potential. And even then, before your heart formed, before your spine curled into shape, the mitochondria were already working. They were building warmth from glucose, making ATP from the oxygen your mother shared with you. They were spinning breath into motion. Every flutter of early development, every division and stretch of that first cell depended on their fire. And that fire was not new. It was inherited. Not built from scratch, but continued, like a flame passed carefully from one candle to another in the quiet of a dark room. Your mother did not choose what her mitochondria would carry. She passed them to you the same way they were passed to her, as a legacy written not in language but in loops of code. These loops carry just 37 genes, but they are vital. They shape how your cells turn food into energy, how they respond to oxygen, how they recover and renew. They do not decide the shape of your face or the sound of your voice, but they guide the way your body moves through time. And they carry more than function. They carry history. Inside those genes are tiny changes, mutations, that trace your maternal ancestry, marking the paths your family once walked, the climates they adapted to, the challenges they survived. These changes are like fingerprints of survival, carved into the very engines of your being. And this inheritance is universal. Every human alive today received their mitochondrial DNA from their mother, who received it from hers. It is the great unbroken thread of maternal connection that ties all people together. Though we live different lives, speak different languages, and dream different dreams, this spark is shared. It is the biological echo of motherhood itself, not just in the act of birth, but in the act of endurance. In the quiet strength that keeps life going, even in the harshest times. Mitochondria do not rest, and neither did the women who carried them through famine, through war, through migration, through hope. Sometimes this spark carries pain too. Certain mitochondrial mutations can lead to illness, fatigue, weakness, disorders that affect muscles or the brain. These conditions remind us how delicate and essential these engines are. When they falter, the body feels it deeply. Yet even in this, there is beauty, because understanding these connections gives us the power to heal, to support, to honor the unseen labor of our cells. Science now explores ways to repair mitochondrial function, to slow aging, to ease the weight of inherited mutations. In every one of those efforts, there is a kind of reverence, a recognition that we are not simply machines, but living memory, sustained by sparks that must be tended with care. And yet most of us live our days unaware of the mitochondria within us. We eat, move, breathe, sleep, and the engines keep turning. They do not demand attention, they do not boast, they simply continue. And that too feels maternal, a kind of quiet giving, a light that never asks for thanks but continues to shine. When you are tired and find strength again, that is your mitochondria. When you fall ill and slowly recover, they are behind that healing. When you cry and sleep and wake with softened breath, they are still there, faithful and small, burning gently beneath it all. Let yourself imagine your mother now, not just as the person you remember or the person you know, but as the carrier of this ancient flame. Her cells once cradled yours. Her mitochondria lit the first moments of your life. And she, too, received that light from a woman who received it from another, and so on, back through generations. The spark you carry is not just yours. It belongs to all those who kept it alive long before you knew its name. And now it lives in you, not in your thoughts, not in your words, but in your blood and breath. In the way your body rises each morning, in the warmth of your hands, in the way your heart beats through silence. You are not just alive. You are lit from within by a fire that has never gone out. Let's wander deeper now into the quiet inheritance that lives inside your body, into the soft current of time carried not in photographs or heirlooms, but in the living warmth of mitochondria. These tiny organelles are not only energy makers, they are vessels of connection, of continuity, of resilience. Their DNA, so small and circular, so fragile and powerful, is like a whispered message passed down through countless hands. And though it cannot speak, it remembers. It remembers how to burn fuel into flame. It remembers how to glow gently within the cells of a growing child. It remembers what was needed to survive. Your body is shaped by those memories, and it responds to them in ways that are more intuitive than conscious, more cellular than seen. When you walk beneath sunlight and feel your muscles move with grace, when your lungs stretch open and your breath finds its rhythm, the mitochondria are there, interpreting light and motion into vitality. But they do more than serve, they reflect. They reflect your state of being, your choices, your history. When you rest, their processes smooth out. When you are nourished, they build more energy. And when you are calm, they work quietly and efficiently, turning air and food into life with the patience of 1,000 grandmothers watching over you. These mitochondria, your mother, your grandmother, and beyond, carry the wisdom of balance. And when you honor your body, that wisdom is amplified. But the spark they carry is not just biological. It is emotional. It is spiritual. Mitochondria reflect the maternal line, yes, but they also hold the invisible tenderness of that line. They carry the gentleness of hands that have held, the strength of hearts that have endured, the lullabies that once floated over newborn breath. You are not just a single life. You are a collection of moments passed forward, a vessel of softness shaped by every woman who came before you. Their mitochondria, now yours, continue their work as if they've always known how. And in a way, they have. When you speak of your mother, it is often in the shape of stories, the way she smiled, the sound of her voice, the scent she wore. But inside your cells is another form of story, one you didn't have to hear to understand. Her mitochondria pulse in you now, unchanged, undiluted, faithful to their purpose. Whether you knew her well or not at all, whether your relationship was tender or distant, her spark remains. And it connects you not only to her, but to her lineage, to women who tilled the earth, who crossed continents, who whispered to the stars. Their struggles and strengths live inside the flicker of your cells. And when you feel weary, when your body falters or your spirit dims, your mitochondria notice. Their process is slow, their rhythm shifts, but they do not stop. They adjust, they wait. And with care, with breath, with food, with warmth, they resume their ancient task. It is in this patience that they mirror the maternal essence so clearly. They do not give up on you. They continue in the background, ready to heal, to restart, to restore. Scientists are beginning to understand just how deeply mitochondrial health shapes our lives. Mitochondrial dysfunction is linked to many diseases, from neurological conditions to metabolic imbalances. And yet, even in this fragility, there is hope. Because the very things that nurture the body, whole foods, gentle movement, clean air, restful sleep, also restore the mitochondria. It's as if the universe has written into our biology the reminder that healing is simple. That tending to your body with kindness is enough. That honoring the mother's spark is as natural as breathing. And it is not only mothers who pass this spark forward. Even those who never bear children still carry this legacy within them. They are still the keepers of the flame. still walking with ancient light in their blood, still part of the chain. Whether you birth life or simply carry it in your cells, your mitochondria are living proof that you are a continuation of something sacred. And so we begin to understand that mitochondria are not only science, they are story. They are the chapters of women written in code, telling us how to survive, how to adapt, how to begin again. They do not need words because their message is carried in energy, in resilience, in the ability to keep going. And they have done just that quietly, faithfully across the span of time. Through each generation, they have passed their flame forward, never letting it go out. You, reading this now, are the current holder of that flame. It burns in your muscles, in your mind, in the space between one breath and the next. It is not your task to control it, only to care for it. To recognize that your energy is not borrowed, it is inherited. And when you rest, when you laugh, when you care for yourself, you honor not just your own life, but the lives that led to it. You carry their spark, and now it carries you. Now let us bring this story to a gentle close, not with a full stop, but with a soft breath, the kind you take when the world quiets and the body begins to rest. The mother's spark, the one that has lived in your cells since your very first moment, is still burning. It has not faded, it has not flickered out. Even now it hums with ancient patience beneath your skin, creating the warmth that allows you to move, to feel, to be. This spark is not poetic fantasy. It is real. It is molecular. It is a truth you carry in every heartbeat, in every sigh, in every quiet unfolding of life that happens without your asking. It began long before you. It passed through the wombs of women who faced storms and survived, through famine, migration, silence, and song, through the soft thrum of lullabies in candle-lit rooms, and through the stillness of grief, of strength, of prayer. And now, somehow, through all of that, it lives in you, not diminished, not broken, still complete, still glowing. You are not simply an individual with a history. You are the continuation of light, of mitochondria that never stopped working, that never asked to be known, only to be honored by the way you live. There is something sacred in this, the idea that your mitochondria remember, not as memory in words, but as resilience in function. They remember how to burn sugar into firelight. They remember how to turn air into energy. They remember how to rebuild when broken. They do not need your permission to continue. They only need your presence. And when you pause to rest, when you care for your body with stillness, with nourishment, with breath, they respond. They reward you not with applause, but with clarity, with endurance, with peace. And even as you age, even as your body softens and your cells begin to slow, the spark remains. The number of mitochondria may shift, the efficiency may change, but the spark does not vanish. It adapts, it moves differently. It calls for more care, more kindness, but it is still there, still trying, still hopping. It is a fire that endures not by force, but by softness. And in that it mirrors you, because you too endure, through change, through weariness, through time. For those who become mothers, the journey continues outward. The spark is passed forward, from your body into another, tiny and perfect and full of potential. And if you do not become a mother, you are still a keeper of the light. Your mitochondria still hum with the same rhythm, still carry the same legacy. You are still part of the thread, still part of the long, glowing story of life. There is no need to strive for greatness to be worthy of this inheritance. You do not need to accomplish extraordinary things. You are already extraordinary. The spark is already within you. It has been from the beginning. It was there in your first breath. It will be there in your last. And in every breath between, it gives you life. It powers the cells that carry your thoughts, your dreams, your love. It fuels the muscles that hug, the voice that comforts, the hands that hold. You do not need to see it to believe in it. You are living proof of it. And as you lie in the stillness of night, as your breath slows and your body softens into sleep, know this: the mitochondria continue. They do not pause with you. They do not need sleep. While you dream, they spin their invisible threads, weaving together energy from the food you've eaten, the oxygen you've drawn in, the quiet love you've given yourself. They repair. They restore. They carry on the work that has sustained life for billions of years, all within your body, all without a sound. This is the inheritance you've received. Not gold, not land, but light, energy, endurance. A spark so reliable it became life itself. A spark that traveled through oceans of time, through generations of women, through endless moments of care and survival just to reach you. And now you carry it. You are its vessel. You are its protector. You are its continuation. So let your body be what it is, a sacred home to something ancient and bright. Let your mitochondria work in peace, supported by your rest, your movement, your breath. Let yourself be gentle. Let yourself be soft, because inside you a fire is still glowing, passed down, carried forward, never lost. And when the time comes, when your story softens into its final chapter, that spark will pass again. Whether to another life or back into the great body of the world, it will not be extinguished. It will become part of something new, something unfolding, something as enduring as life itself. The mother's spark will keep moving forward, and you, glowing quietly in your place within the thread, will have honored it well. Somewhere between the stars above and the breath you just took lies a truth too quiet for most to hear, a shared rhythm, a pattern, a memory. The same elements that form the mitochondria in your cells once drifted through ancient galaxies, born in stellar explosions and scattered across space. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, these are not just parts of your body. They are gifts from stars that died long before Earth was formed. You are made from their remnants, and in every inhale, in every flicker of mitochondrial fire, a connection is rekindled. When your cells breathe, they are not only drawing in oxygen, they are participating in the oldest story the universe has ever told. That story begins in the stars, but it takes form inside you. Mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses nestled within your cells, rely on oxygen to turn food into energy. It is a quiet alchemy. Sugar and air become ATP, the fuel that lets you blink, think, feel, and move. This process is elegant and delicate, and though it happens billions of times each second, it asks for nothing more than your breath. And when you breathe, you do more than feed your cells. You participate in a ritual written across the stars and through your own bloodstream, a cosmic pattern woven into your biology. Imagine now what a mitochondrion sees. If it had eyes, it would watch molecules arrive with every inhale, each one a piece of something ancient. Oxygen, once part of a leaf, once drifting in a blue sky, now floats across the folds of its inner membrane. There it meets the electrons passed down from glucose, the sugar broken lovingly apart by your body. As they connect, energy is born not with heat or sound but with stillness. ATP forms and the cell awakens to its work. And as oxygen is used, water is formed, not waste but a return, a cycle completed, a breath finished. This cycle of energy, of breathing in and giving back, mirrors what happens on a larger scale. Trees inhale the carbon you exhale. They offer oxygen in return. Oceans carry it. Winds deliver it. All of it travels, floats, moves, and returns like memory held in air. You are not separate from this rhythm. You are one part of it, a participant in the breathing of the earth. And mitochondria are where your part in that breath becomes real. They are the bridge between the outer world and your inner life, turning atmosphere into vitality. But breath is not just function, it is experience. When you are calm, your breathing deepens. When you are afraid, it quickens. Your mitochondria feel this too. When you are rested, they perform with ease. When you are anxious or inflamed, their processes shift. The same oxygen carries different outcomes depending on the messages your body sends. In this way, your mitochondria are more than workers, they are listeners. They respond to your state, adapting to your pace. They feel the pressure of your stress, the relief of your joy, the calm of your stillness. And so your breath becomes a conversation between the world and your body, between your emotions and your cells. And at the center of this conversation is the mitochondrion, listening with a patience that never fades. It uses what you give it, the air, the food, the signals, and transforms it into life. It does not judge. It does not falter. Even when breath is shallow, when resources are scarce, when emotion runs high, it still tries. It still gives. What's more, the ability of mitochondria to process oxygen, to take from it not just life but longevity, is deeply tied to your health. Efficient mitochondrial respiration is linked to clearer thinking, more stable emotions, longer life. And when that process breaks down, the consequences ripple outward: fatigue, fog, discomfort. It is a quiet reminder that tending to your mitochondria through breath, through rest, through nourishment, is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. You are not only breathing for your lungs, you are breathing for your cells, for your fire, for your clarity. And through all of this, the echo of the stars remains. The iron that carries oxygen in your blood once formed in the cores of red giants. The oxygen you breathe was first made in the explosions of supernovae. The carbon in your bones once drifted across interstellar dust. So when you rest, when you slow your breath and feel your cells hum with energy, know that you are feeling the universe continuing inside you. You are not merely alive, you are made of memory, of particles that remember the heat of stars and now power your heartbeat. In your smallest motions, the blink of an eye, the curling of a toe, the thought of a name, there is ancient light. There is cosmic dust. There is cellular grace. Mitochondria hold that grace. They take the elements of the world and give them purpose. And they do it without asking, without noise, without pause. They are the living memory of starlight, reshaped into breath, into being, into you. So breathe now, not with urgency, but with reverence. Let the air in. Let it fill your lungs and drift into your cells. Let it reach your mitochondria and let them begin their quiet dance. They are ready. They are always ready. They remember what the stars taught them long ago, and through your breath they continue the story. Let's follow this thread of starlight deeper, into the quiet mechanics of how your cells breathe. When we speak of breath, we often think only of lungs, of chest and wind and movement. But real breathing, the breath that sustains, continues long after air leaves your lungs. It continues in every one of your trillions of cells, in the gentle curl of chemical reactions that turn oxygen into energy. And it is here, in the mitochondria, where the stars whisper to your biology. Each breath you take is not complete until it reaches them, until the oxygen finds its way to the inner membrane of those tiny, glowing engines. There, the final act of breath unfolds, slow, quiet, life-giving. This act is called cellular respiration, and though it may sound like a textbook term, it is one of the most poetic processes inside you. Electrons, stripped from nutrients like glucose and fatty acids, flow down a path not randomly, but with order, with rhythm, along a chain of proteins embedded in the mitochondrial membrane. This path is called the electron transport chain, and it is where energy is made. As electrons move from one protein complex to the next, they leave behind tiny charges that build up like wind behind a sail. This energy is captured to create ATP, the currency of life. It happens in silence. It happens in the dark. But without it, nothing would move. Not your hands, not your eyes, not your thoughts. At the end of this path waits oxygen, the final electron acceptor. Without oxygen, the electrons would have nowhere to go. The whole system would jam. Energy would falter. Cells would suffer. But with oxygen, the cycle completes. Water is formed and energy is born. It is a moment of transformation, oxygen becoming part of you, not just briefly but meaningfully, functionally. And as the mitochondria spin, creating ATP from air and food, your body lives on. It is a cycle as sacred as breath itself, a reminder that you are not separate from the world, you are its continuation. And just as the stars had to explode to give you iron and oxygen, your cells must maintain balance to sustain that energy. Too much oxygen too quickly can create oxidative stress, a buildup of unstable molecules called free radicals. These molecules can damage cell membranes, DNA, and the mitochondria themselves. But again, the body remembers. It responds with antioxidants, enzymes, defenses. And these defenses, too, are supported by what you eat, how you sleep, the way you breathe. Dark berries, leafy greens, quiet evenings, steady movement, they all teach your mitochondria how to endure. They protect the dance. They preserve the light. This is why breath is more than survival, it is strategy. It is how your cells assess the world. Shallow, rapid breathing in times of anxiety signals urgency, and your mitochondria slow their graceful rhythm. They prepare for short-term bursts, not long-term calm. But when you breathe deeply, when you pause, when you allow your lungs to fill and your shoulders to fall, you are telling your cells, you are safe now. You can create slowly. You can glow gently. And they do. They listen. Your body changes in response to how you breathe, not just in sensation, but in structure. Even your brain, the seat of memory and thought, relies on this mitochondrial process. Neurons are among the most energy-hungry cells in the body, and their ability to fire, to remember, to feel, depends on the supply of ATP. When mitochondria in the brain falter, so too does clarity. Thoughts grow sluggish. Focus fades. But when mitochondria thrive, when oxygen flows, when food is wisely chosen, when rest is honored, your thoughts return with light. Your mind becomes a clear sky once more, able to reflect and imagine, to feel and to rest. And so your thoughts, too, are part of this stellar lineage. They are not separate from biology. They are born from it, from oxygen and sugar and firelight made in silence. This is why caring for your body is an act of caring for your mind. They are not divided. They are layered. You are one whole being, held together by breath and spark. Even aging, which we often view with fear, is shaped by this process. Over time, mitochondrial function slowly declines. The engines become less efficient, free radicals increase, energy wanes, but this too can be softened. Studies show that gentle exercise, especially the kind that elevates the heart and deepens the breath, helps your cells renew. Mitochondria respond by multiplying, by becoming stronger, more resilient. Sleep, too, is repair. During deep rest, the body clears damaged mitochondria, replaces them, heals. This is not just rest for the mind, but restoration for the spark itself. You are not powerless in this process. You are a participant. The way you breathe, the way you move, the choices you make, they all write into your mitochondria. They shape the way your energy is made. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to be present. Your body does not need punishment, it needs permission. Permission to pause, permission to breathe, permission to remember its own rhythm. And as you offer that rhythm, your mitochondria respond with light, with endurance, with clarity. They are not waiting for perfection, they are waiting for care. And through your care, they whisper back, "We are ready, we are still here." The same elements that once drifted in galaxies now glow in your chest. The stars did not vanish. They came home, into your blood, into your breath, into your mitochondria. You are not only made of stardust, you are still living in its memory. And every breath you take, every single one, lets that memory become motion again. Let us now bring this story to a gentle close, the way a deep breath slowly leaves the body, not with urgency but with grace. When your cells breathe, they are doing more than surviving. They are remembering. They are continuing a lineage older than blood, older than bone, older even than the planet beneath your feet. Your mitochondria are not simply engines. They are archivists of the universe. In their folds and membranes, they hold the instructions for life, and the memory of where life began, in the stars, in the oceans, in the quiet rise of breath long before we had words for what we were. These mitochondria, flickering now inside your muscles, your skin, your brain, do not think. They do not dream, but they carry within them the tools to keep your dreams alive. They respond to you without question, creating energy from whatever you give them, from a fresh inhale, from a moment of calm, from the food that reaches your cells. They do not ask for praise. They do not seek reward. They continue their work regardless of whether you notice them. That kind of faithfulness is rare. That kind of love, unspoken, unwavering, is a miracle that lives within you. And perhaps now, with all that you've come to understand, you can feel how connected you are not just to your own body, but to the vast web of existence. The iron that carries oxygen in your blood once pulsed in a dying star. The carbon in your cells was born in ancient fires. The oxygen you just drew in may have brushed the leaves of trees continents away. You are not separate from the world. You are made from it. And your mitochondria are the place where that world becomes warmth, where chemistry becomes life, where stardust becomes breath. There will be days when you forget this, when your body feels heavy, when your breath shortens, when the world outside feels louder than the quiet within. But even then, your mitochondria continue. They do not stop when you are tired. They do not falter when you lose hope. They are always there working behind the scenes, shaping your strength. You do not need to feel strong to be strong. You already are. You are the result of stars and time and breath, and that is more than enough. And what of the stars themselves? They continue too, still shining, still creating, still scattering the ingredients for life across the cosmos. New planets form, new worlds rise. The same processes that shaped your mitochondria are shaping the future just as they shaped the past. It is all one motion, the universe breathing through its many parts, through galaxies, through oceans, through you. This is not metaphor, it is science. It is also comfort. It means you are never truly alone, not in your body, not in your story. You are part of something larger, a shared breath that stretches across time and space. Your inhalation is a ripple in that vastness. Your mitochondria and their quiet persistence are the evidence of your place in it. So what do you do with this knowing? You breathe, not just to stay alive, but to honor what life is. You breathe to thank the cells that continue working even when you forget they are there. You breathe to invite stillness, to offer your body peace. You nourish yourself not to change who you are, but to sustain who you've always been. You rest not because you are weak, but because your mitochondria deserve recovery. You move not to prove anything, but to keep the rhythm alive. The rhythm of breath. The rhythm of stars, the rhythm of you. In time, even your mitochondria will slow. The body, like all things, must one day return to silence. But even then, nothing is lost. The elements return to the earth, to the air, to the sky. The story continues. The energy moves forward. It becomes part of the breath of trees, of oceans, of future lives. And somewhere, in someone yet to be born, the spark will be passed again. Perhaps through your children. Perhaps through the food that grows from soil you once touched. Perhaps simply through the kindness you gave while you were here. And in this way, you become a star again, not in a distant sky, but in the mitochondria of another life. Your breath lives on. Your light lives on. The story continues. So tonight, as you lie down, as your breath begins to soften and the world grows quiet, know this. Your cells are still breathing. Your mitochondria are still glowing. The stars have not forgotten you. They are inside you. They are you. And they are still remembering. Inside every living body, there is a warmth that does not come from blankets or sunlight or firewood. It is deeper, quieter, older. It is the warmth of life itself, the soft crackle of energy being made in silence again and again within the tiny factories that live in your cells. These factories, your mitochondria, never sleep. They do not speak, but they are always at work, turning the simple ingredients of air and food into the invisible flame that powers everything you are. This flame has no color, no smoke, no sound, but it keeps your heart beating, your lungs expanding, your thoughts forming. You are not just alive because you breathe. You are alive because your cells burn. This flame is not fire as we know it. It does not roar or consume. It does not glow in the dark, but it is fire all the same. In the mitochondria, oxygen and fuel meet in a dance so quiet it's easy to miss. The sugars and fats from your food are broken down into smaller parts, and with oxygen, they enter a process that turns them into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the spark your cells use to do everything they need to do. This process, called cellular respiration, is not dramatic, but it is relentless. Like embers under snow, it burns without being seen. And it is always happening. Right now, as you sit or lie still, your mitochondria are making energy in every tissue of your body. In your muscles, even when they are still. In your brain, even when it is quiet. In your stomach, in your liver, in your fingertips. Energy is being created with every passing moment, without noise, without heat, without praise. This is the soft crackle of cellular flame, the gentle work that lets you blink, breathe, dream, and rest. The warmth you feel when you press your hand to your chest or the side of your neck. That is the flame. Not the warmth of the room around you, but the warmth within, the byproduct of cells breathing. A quiet fire flickering just beneath the surface, invisible but constant. It is this heat that keeps your body from growing cold. That keeps your blood flowing, your enzymes working, your body alive through every hour of the night. Long after you've stopped moving, your mitochondria continue, keeping the flame alive. But this fire is more than just physical, it is emotional. When you are anxious, the flame stutters. Your breath becomes shallow, your muscles tight, your energy changes. The mitochondria feel this. They receive fewer resources, they produce less energy. The flame flickers. But when you slow down, when you breathe deeply, when you eat with presence, when you rest without guilt, the flame steadies again. The mitochondria return to their rhythm. The crackle becomes soft once more. This is how your emotions are tied to your biology, not just in how you feel, but in how your body works from the inside out. And just as a fire needs tending, so do your cells. Mitochondria are not invincible. They are sensitive, responsive, aware in their own silent way. They need the right balance of nutrients, not too much, not too little. They need movement to stir them like wind through a quiet forest. They need rest to repair, to clean, to renew. When they are neglected, when your life becomes too fast, too shallow, too stressed, they struggle. They begin to break down. The flame dims. Fatigue follows. Clarity fades. This is not weakness, it is a message. A whisper from within: slow down, come back to your fire. But the flame can always be rekindled. That is the miracle of mitochondria. Even when you feel depleted, the potential is still there. With a nourishing meal, a peaceful walk, a full night's sleep, your body begins to repair. Your cells remember what to do. The mitochondria rebuild themselves. The fire returns, not suddenly, but gently, like light creeping across the sky at dawn. You do not need to force it. You only need to allow it. Your body is always trying to heal, always trying to come back to balance, always trying to burn softly again. And in this softness there is strength, because this is not a fire that consumes. It is a fire that sustains. The energy it gives you is not for panic or urgency. It is for being, for existing, for the everyday miracles of lifting a spoon, of closing your eyes, of turning a page. This is the energy of life when it is quiet, when it is slow, when it is enough. So when you feel tired, when your bones ache or your thoughts feel far away, do not scold yourself. Do not rush to push harder. Pause instead. Listen. The flame is still there. It is waiting for breath, for stillness, for kindness. And when you offer those things, your mitochondria will respond, not with noise but with light. A soft flicker that says, yes, we are here. We are still burning. And maybe that's the truest kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need to be seen. The kind that keeps glowing in silence. The kind that powers you from within, moment by moment, heartbeat by heartbeat, forever. Let's follow this quiet flame deeper, into the unseen rooms of your biology where mitochondria do their tireless work. Each one is like a tiny hearth tucked within the folds of your cell, generating energy not in great flashes, but in steady flickers. There are thousands of them inside some cells, especially those that need the most energy, like your muscles, your heart, your brain. These are the organs that think, move, and remember. And they are powered by a fire so small, so continuous, it goes unnoticed until it doesn't, until you feel the weight of exhaustion or the fog of fatigue. And even then, the mitochondria do not stop. They just signal. Something is off, something needs tending. The cellular flame is not merely about energy. It is also about balance. For every unit of fuel they burn, every glucose molecule, every fatty acid, mitochondria must manage a delicate equation. Too much input and the system becomes overwhelmed, producing free radicals that can damage cells. Too little and the body begins to ration, slowing processes, conserving motion. This balance is why mitochondria are often called regulators. They do not simply provide, they decide. They decide how much energy to make, when to slow down, when to repair, and when, if necessary, to let go. This last decision, to let go, is one of the quietest, most remarkable acts mitochondria perform. When a cell is too damaged to function, mitochondria can help it die. This is not destruction, this is wisdom. It is called apoptosis, and it is the body's way of pruning what can no longer serve, to protect what still can. It happens gently, without pain, without noise. The flame, sensing that the structure around it can no longer hold, slowly dims. The cell dismantles itself and in doing so makes room for healing. New cells rise, the body renews, life continues. And when repair is possible, mitochondria rise to meet the challenge. They do not hold grudges. They do not remember imbalance as failure. They simply begin again. Through a process called mitophagy, old or damaged mitochondria are cleared out. And in response to exercise, to proper nutrients, to rest, new mitochondria are created. The flame is never gone, it is passed on, rebuilt, re-inspired. In this way, your cells are not static. They are in constant conversation with your habits, your choices, your environment. It's important to know that this conversation does not require perfection. Your mitochondria do not ask you to eat flawless meals or live in stillness or move without pause. They only ask for rhythm. They thrive on cycles, the rise and fall of nourishment, of movement, of sleep. They are creatures of the circadian world, responding to light and dark, to wake and rest. When you eat with the sun, when you sleep through the night, when you let your days flow like tides instead of tides crashing against rocks, they listen. And they respond. The flame burns cleaner. The body heals faster. The energy you feel becomes steady and kind. This is not just a biological truth, it is an emotional one. The way you live is the way your cells live. If you rush, if you deny rest, if you demand more than your body can give, the flame grows thin. But if you allow space to breathe, to reflect, to simply be, your mitochondria flourish. They glow with potential, not because you are doing more, but because you are doing enough. There is no trophy for pushing past exhaustion. But there is a quiet reward in balance, in waking with clarity, in moving without pain, in feeling like your body is not fighting you, but living with you. And perhaps most beautifully, this flame is shared. The warmth your body creates allows you to embrace, to comfort, to hold another. When you offer your hand, when you give a hug, when you sit beside someone in silence, part of that moment is mitochondrial. It is the fire in you connecting with the fire in them. It is not metaphor. It is temperature. It is energy. It is real. You warm others because you are warm inside. Even your emotions are shaped by this fire. The brain's neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, require energy to be produced and released. Without ATP, even joy becomes harder to feel. But when your mitochondria thrive, your mood lifts. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently, like fog lifting from a field in early light. This is the flame as feeling, as clarity, as ease. And in times of illness or grief, when the body is heavy and the spark feels dim, it helps to remember. Your flame has not gone out. It is resting. It is being guarded. Your body, even in hardship, is protecting its light. And with care, with rest, with nourishment, with time, it will return. It always does. The crackle will come back, slow at first, then steady. The warmth will rise again from the quiet. You do not have to search for this fire. It is already in you. You do not need to light it. It never truly went out. You are still burning, even in stillness, even in silence, even now. Let us now rest beside the flame, not to stoke it higher, but simply to feel its warmth. The work is done. The body is quiet. The breath moves gently in and out. And within you, as it always has, the soft crackle continues. The mitochondria are still at work, drawing in the remains of your last breath, the sugars of your last meal, the calm of your last sleep, and transforming them into something you will never see but always feel. That invisible heat, that gentle energy, that steady power, it is the life within your life. It is what allows you to rest and wake again. And this flame will be with you for as long as you live. It will adjust when you move through seasons of stress or joy, through days of energy or stillness. It will not abandon you when you are weary. It will not vanish when you feel broken. It simply softens, listening, waiting, responding in its quiet way. And when you are ready, it returns. Your mitochondria do not need you to be strong every day. They need only to be given space. Space to breathe. Space to rebuild. Space to do what they do best, keep you warm. There is something ancient and holy in this relationship, between you and the flame, between the world and your body. From your earliest days, before you had thoughts or language or memory, the mitochondria were there. Before your first cry, before your first breath, they were already creating the energy that would allow you to grow. And long after childhood, long after youth, long into the soft unfolding of age, they remain, adjusting, adapting, continuing. You are not separate from them. You are them, not only in structure but in story. Your mitochondria came from your mother and hers from hers. Through all the women of your lineage this flame was passed, not once but many times quietly, faithfully, inside every egg, every cell, every breath. The mitochondria you carry are part of that maternal inheritance, not just of genes but of resilience, of fire. They are older than your name, older than your memory, older than your own body. But they are yours now. They are serving you still. And one day, far from now, when your body begins to slow and return to the earth, your flame will not be lost. It will return to the world in another form. The heat in your body will rise and rejoin the air. The atoms that fed your mitochondria will scatter and be gathered again by trees or soil or time. The fire will move on, not extinguished, but shared. It is a cycle, not an end. You have borrowed this light, carried it well, and when the moment comes, you will pass it back. This is the legacy of the flame. Not fame, not grandness, just warmth, presence, continuity. You have lived with it every day of your life. It has never asked for notice. And yet it has given everything, your steps, your laughter, your tears, your silence, your dreams, all of them powered by this soft, unseen fire. And so now, in this final moment of reflection, allow yourself to rest in that truth. You do not need to search for your strength. It is already inside you. You do not need to prove your worth. It is written in your breath. You do not need to reach for light. You are made of it. Let your breath slow. Let your muscles ease. Let your thoughts settle like leaves upon a still pond. The flame is there, steady as ever, humming within you. Your mitochondria are tending it like caretakers who never leave their post. They are creating what you need exactly when you need it. Not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. And as you sleep, when the world turns dim and quiet, when the sky folds into stars and dreams, the flame continues. It glows in the night. It powers your healing. It keeps you whole. And when you wake, it will still be there, burning softly beneath your ribs, ready to begin again. You do not have to ask it. You do not have to thank it. But perhaps now you will notice it, this invisible companion, this ancient warmth, this gift given without condition. The soft crackle of cellular flame, the quiet light that lets you live, the fire that has always, always been with you. Gravity is not something we see, and yet we feel it every moment. It is the invisible hand that holds us to the ground, the quiet guide that keeps the oceans close to the earth's skin, the reason apples fall and rivers flow and feet stay rooted when we run. We do not hear it or touch it, but its presence is constant, a soft, steady pull that reminds every object where it belongs. And though we often forget it, gravity is not forceful or violent. It is gentle. It is consistent. It is a promise written into the fabric of space and time, holding stars in their orbits and keeping our heads from drifting into the sky. When you wake each morning and your body lies against the bed, gravity is there. It cradles you as you sleep. It greets you before thought returns. It does not need to be summoned or controlled. It works without command. Your body knows this relationship so well it never needs reminding. Muscles form in response to it. Bones grow strong because of it. Even the balance of the fluids in your body listens to its subtle direction. Without it, your cells wouldn't know which way was down. Your blood would not flow as easily to your feet. You might drift in place, but you would lose your sense of placement, not just physically, but emotionally too. Gravity grounds more than your body. It grounds your experience of being alive. And this grounding is universal. Every planet, every moon, every sun carries its own gravity. It is a fingerprint made of mass. The more mass, the stronger the pull. But Earth's gravity is something special. It is the exact amount needed to let life unfold in comfort. Not too strong, not too weak. It lets trees grow tall without collapsing. It lets birds take flight and still return to perch. It holds oceans in place without swallowing mountains. And for us, it allows movement and stillness, rest and rise, effort and ease. It is the perfect partner in our dance with the world. Cells inside you feel this force too. When astronauts travel to space, their bodies begin to change. Without gravity's pull, muscles weaken. Bones lose their density. Fluids drift unnaturally. The body becomes confused. This shows us just how deeply we are shaped by gravity, how every system we rely on is tuned to its whisper. Even mitochondria behave differently in space, their efficiency shifts, their rhythms adjust. The fire within our cells, the energy we burn to live, is linked to gravity. We are not just bound by it, we are built with it in mind. Gravity is often described as a force, but it is better understood as a curve, a bending of space itself. When you stand on the ground, you are not being pulled down so much as you are following the shape of space curved by Earth's mass. The world beneath you has created a well, and you are resting at its bottom. It's a beautiful idea, one that turns gravity from something aggressive into something embracing. The Earth holds us not with chains, but with an open palm curved gently inward. And everything that falls is simply following the path that space has laid down. Even time itself is affected by gravity. The closer you are to a massive object, the slower time moves. This is not a theory, it is measurable. Clocks on mountaintops tick slightly faster than those at sea level. It is as though gravity asks us to slow down, to remain grounded not just in space, but in time. The deeper the well, the gentler the pace. Your heartbeat, your breath, the flow of thoughts in your mind, all of it shaped ever so subtly by where you stand. And so gravity becomes more than a law of physics. It becomes a companion, a quiet presence that holds you close, that keeps your feet on the earth and your head just high enough to see the stars. It allows you to walk without floating away, to rest without drifting, to exist with certainty in a world that is always moving. Even as the earth spins and travels through space, gravity keeps you steady, keeps you here, keeps you held. You do not need to thank it. You do not even need to notice it. Gravity asks for nothing. It simply continues, unshaken by change, undisturbed by time. And that is part of its beauty, that something so essential can be so quiet, so constant, so calm. It is the first embrace we receive at birth and the last one we feel when we lie down for the final time. It is not harsh. It is not cruel. It is the earth's way of saying, stay, be here, be held. And so, as you move through your day, as you lift a hand, take a step, tilt your head toward the sky, know that you are never alone. The ground beneath you is not just surface. It is support. The weight you carry is not a burden. It is a sign that gravity remembers you, that it is still holding you, that you still belong. Let's go deeper now, into the folds of this invisible companion that cradles everything we know. Gravity is not simply a downward tug. It is a memory woven into the fabric of the universe, a law older than stars, older than light. Long before Earth had oceans or mountains, gravity was already shaping the dance of dust and gas, pulling matter into spirals, pressing time into rhythm. Without gravity, there would be no suns, no planets, no orbits to trace. There would be no ground to stand on, no body to belong to, no story to unfold. In the absence of gravity, all would be drift, no center, no shape, no stillness. And yet, for something so vast, it works with such softness. Gravity does not shout, it whispers. It moves the tides with a patient hand. It turns moons in silence. It lets galaxies spin for eons without complaint. It is the breath beneath movement, the reason why things fall, but also the reason why they return. You can feel it now, even if you sit quietly, that gentle weight in your chest, the soft press of your body against whatever holds it. That is gravity reminding you, you are here. You are still being held. Your bones are shaped by it. When children grow, their skeletons stretch in the presence of gravity, developing strength and alignment. Without gravity, bone mass begins to fade. In space, astronauts must work constantly to resist this loss, to trick the body into remembering weight when weight is gone. This tells us something profound. We are built not just to exist, but to exist in relationship with pull, with weight, with pressure. Our muscles grow in response to resistance. Our balance forms because there is something to push against. Without gravity, we would not know how to stand. Even your sense of direction, your inner compass, is a response to gravity. Deep within the ear, tiny crystals float in a gel-like fluid. When you tilt your head, these crystals move and stimulate nerve endings that send signals to your brain. This is how you know up from down. This is how you walk without falling. Gravity guides the dance between movement and awareness. It creates the foundation for orientation, not just in space, but in self. And in the smallest places, gravity still matters. At the cellular level, fluids inside your body distribute themselves according to its pull. Blood returns to the heart through veins that rely on valves and muscle to move against gravity. When you lie down, this balance shifts. That's why rest feels different than motion. Your body feels lighter because gravity's effect is redistributed. Even digestion, the journey of food through your system, is aided by this quiet force. It does not rush you. It simply accompanies you, step by step, breath by breath. But perhaps the most poetic truth is this: gravity connects everything. It does not stop at borders. It does not pause for pause. The gravity that holds you to the earth also tugs at the moon, and the moon's gravity responds, shaping tides that flow across continents. These same tides affect the migration of animals, the blooming of coral, even the rhythms of human sleep. Some scientists believe that our bodies still respond to the gravitational dance of celestial bodies, that lunar cycles influence melatonin, the hormone that governs rest. If this is true, it means gravity reaches not just our bones, but our dreams. This interconnectedness reveals a universe not of isolation, but of unity. Every object with mass exerts gravity. That includes you. Yes, your body, small as it may feel against the scale of planets, also exerts a gravitational pull. It is tiny, but it is real. You are not just held by gravity, you are a participant in its web. You are contributing even now to the quiet forces that keep the world in motion. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are woven into it. And because of this, every movement you make is a kind of offering. When you walk, when you stretch, when you rest, you are engaging with a force that binds galaxies. Your steps are not just steps, they are answers to gravity's invitation. Your balance, your posture, your breath, they are all shaped by a force older than memory, older than language. And so is your stillness. When you stop and lie down, when you let your body sink into rest, gravity is not pushing you. It is receiving you. It is saying, you may let go now, I will hold you. Even your emotions, in some quiet way, respond to gravity. We speak of feeling down or lifted, of carrying weight or releasing burdens. These metaphors are not accidents. They reflect a truth our bodies already know: that emotion is embodied, that grief has heaviness, that joy can feel like lightness. Gravity is the language through which the body experiences weight, not only of mass but of meaning. And yet, for all its influence, gravity never demands. It does not punish. It does not pull with anger. It simply is a presence, a field, a quiet reminder that you belong to something larger, that no matter where you go, across mountains, across oceans, even into the sky, there will always be a place for you to return, a place where your body will be welcomed back with gentle weight, with grounding, with softness. So the next time you lie on the earth or feel the pull of your body against the floor, remember, you are being held, not just by structure but by story, by a force that began with stars and continues with you, by a law that binds not just matter but meaning. Gravity does not simply pull, it remembers. It keeps track of you, and it is always guiding you home. Let us bring this quiet force to rest, not by ending it but by feeling it fully. Gravity does not switch off when we close our eyes. It does not retreat when we fall asleep. It remains steady, patient, eternal. As you lie still, the earth's pull continues to cradle you. You may not notice it, but your body does. Your muscles soften into it. Your breath slows against it. Even your dreams are nested in its arms. You are not floating through the dark unknown. You are resting in place, safely tethered by something that does not falter. There is comfort in knowing that gravity never leaves. It is there when you are born, guiding your first fall into a parent's arms. It is there as you learn to sit, to crawl, to walk, each motion made possible by your growing conversation with weight and ground. It is there when you stumble and when you rise, when you leap into joy or kneel in grief. Gravity is the witness and the frame. It allows you to feel rooted, even when the world inside feels scattered. And one day, when your steps grow slower, when your breath grows lighter, gravity will still be there, unchanged. It does not rush life along. It simply carries it softly from one moment to the next. It does not take from you. It holds you. From first light to final sigh, it is the ground that always says yes. Think of the trees, how they stand for decades or centuries, shaped by gravity's pull and the sun's light. Their roots dig deep not just to drink, but to anchor. Their branches stretch in curves that respond to weight and wind. Even as they reach toward the sky, they remain connected to the earth. We, too, live in this tension, reaching but held, aspiring but supported. We stretch into who we are becoming while gravity reminds us of who we already are. And yet gravity allows flight. Birds do not escape it, they use it. Every glide, every wingbeat is a dance with resistance, with lift and fall. Planes, too, soar not by denying gravity but by balancing it. Even astronauts who seem to leave it behind remain tethered to its memory. They orbit not drifting endlessly but falling gently, perpetually around the Earth's embrace. That's what orbit is, not escape, but a curved fall held in perfect balance. So when you feel unmoored, uncertain, scattered, pause, close your eyes, feel the way the ground holds you. Feel how gravity says you are here, not lost, not forgotten, here, with weight, with presence, with meaning. This force that holds the planets in orbit also holds your bones in place. It does not measure your worth. It does not compare. It simply responds to mass, to matter. You exist, and so gravity holds you. That is enough. You do not have to prove anything to belong here. And in this quiet holding there is peace. You may feel small in the vastness of space, but gravity assures you that smallness is not insignificance. You are part of a grand design, a falling leaf, a rolling stone, a heartbeat that echoes in the curve of time. All of it belongs, all of it is guided. So tonight, as you lie still, let your body feel its own weight. Let your muscles stop fighting what is already holding them. You do not need to carry everything. You do not need to rise right now. This moment is for resting in what is true. The earth has not let go of you. It never will. Gravity is not the force that pushes you down. It is the force that keeps you close. Close to home, close to self, close to the quiet rhythm that sings beneath all things. And in this rhythm you are safe. You are steady. You are softly, endlessly held.